Cross to Abhijit Karande, my colleague who's joining us on the phone line, getting us up to speed with this tragedy that has taken place in Nanded at a government hospital. 24 dead. Let that register, viewers. 24 dead in just the last 24 hours. And what is tragic? That it was because of shortage of medicine. These lives could be saved. Out of these 24, 12 are newborn babies. Abhijit, can you get us up to speed with the latest? What is it that the administration is saying? What is the action that is being taken?
This is the complete case of a negligence. We can see that what doctors are saying, that they are not able to purchase the medicines in time, and because of that some problems were there. But as we know that this is the biggest hospital in the region of Nanded, so many patients came for the treatment. In last 24 hours, 24 people were died in the hospital, and 12 out of them were newborn childs or newborn babies. And hospital authorities are saying that some are ill because of chronic disease, and some are brought in the hospital when they were in last stage. But there is no confirmation about it, and all cases were like this, or any other reasons were behind that. But
Abhijit, who is claiming shortage of medicine?
That is a surgeon. Chief surgeon is claiming that there were a shortage of medicine, as we heard his bite before our chat.
So the chief surgeon is saying shortage of medicine. The administration is trying to cover up what is sheer criminal negligence at the fact. Can you take us through 12 infants, newborns, in the list of 24 dead in 24 hours, lives that could have been saved?
Yeah. If they can, if they would have been purchased the medicines in time, these lives would have been saved in time. And this is the second incidence in last 2 months in the Maharashtra. We have seen in such incidents in Kalwa in August 13 that 18 people were died in hospital, government hospital in Kalwa, Thane. And this is the second incidence happening in Nanded, which is in a Marathwada region, that 12 people, 24 people died in a within a 24 hours of span, and 12 out of them were newborn childs. As we have seen after this incidents, ex-Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot visited the hospital and taken a stock of a situation and demanded a detailed inquiry into the complete case. After that, many other political parties and social organizations also demanded the detailed inquiry, but there is no response from the government yet. But maybe in a day or tomorrow there will be report will come why these dates happen in a short span of a time.
All right, appreciate you joining us, Abhijit. We're going to make sure, viewers, that we ask the government on why is it that there was a shortage of medicine, not for the first time, the second incident on a government hospital in the state of Maharashtra. This is how cheap life is in our country. 24 dead in the last 24 hours. The reason, alleged lack of medicine, criminal negligence to say the least. We're going to keep an eye on developments on that story. Meanwhile, let's quickly shift focus to our big political story that we're tracking very closely, coming in from Rajasthan. The Prime Minister was there in Rajasthan, Chittorgarh, today. And there he launched a scathing attack on the Gehlot government. From taking Gehlot on poor law and order situation in the state, to accusing him of appeasement politics, to calling out the internal infighting within the party. Modi went guns blazing at Gehlot today. Listen in.
इस चुनाव में हमारा एक ही चेहरा है, और वो चेहरा है कमल.
With Vasundhara Raje sitting on the dais, Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivered the biggest blow to the former Chief Minister.
इस कमल के नेतृत्व में, कमल के निशान से,
she will not be the face of the BJP campaign in Rajasthan. At a rally in Chittorgarh, Modi listed his party's agenda one by one, and law and order comes on the top.
राजस्थान को बचाएंगे.
The Prime Minister cited the beheading of Kanhaiya Lal to make his point.
कपड़े सिलाने के बहाने लोग आते हैं और बिना डर बिना खौफ के टेलर का गला काट देते हैं और वीडियो बनाकर गर्व से वायरल कर देते हैं। कांग्रेस सरकार को उसमें भी वोट बैंक की चिंता सताती है।
Question paper leaks that have hit the youth of the state found special mention.
कालिका माता की मैं राजस्थान के नौजवानों को वादा करता हूं, नौजवानों मुझ पे भरोसा करना, ये पेपर लीक माफिया का पाताल में भी जाकर उसका हिसाब किया जाएगा।
The Prime Minister launched development projects worth 7,000 crore rupees. He assured proper implementation of welfare schemes, calling it a Modi guarantee.
1,000 करोड़ से अधिक के प्रोजेक्ट्स की सौगातें साथ लाए हैं।
आज मैं राजस्थान के हर गरीब, दलित, पिछड़े और आदिवासी परिवारों को एक और गारंटी दे रहा हूं। मोदी हर गरीब को पक्की छत देगा, पक्का घर देगा। अब तक 4 करोड़ घर बना दिए हैं और जिनका बाकी रहा है काम चालू है।
The Congress has hit back at the Prime Minister.
जो डिमांड्स हमारे स्टेट्स की थी, जो केंद्र सरकार चाहती कर सकती थी, चाहे वो ERCP की हो, चाहे रेल परियोजनाओं की हमारी डिमांड्स थी, चाहे जो राजस्थान सरकार का, राजस्थान के लोगों का जो हिस्सा था, उसमें भी विलम्ब काफ़ी हो रहा है। तो उस प्रकार की योजनाएं नहीं है, वो तो सिर्फ प्रचार के लिए यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं और संभवतः वो प्रचार इसलिए ज़्यादा करना पड़ रहा है क्योंकि जो प्रदेश के जो नेता हैं भाजपा के, उनसे पार पड़ने वाली है नहीं।
The BJP is yet to release its list of the candidates for Rajasthan. But with Prime Minister Modi confirming there will be no Chief Minister face, the party is likely to replicate its poll model in Madhya Pradesh, where it has fielded 3 union ministers. Bureau Report, India Today.
So the BJP making its poll agenda very clear. No Vasundhara Raje. It's going to be the Kamal as the chief ministerial face. That is what the Prime Minister said of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Well, not just that. You had the Prime Minister give out the Modi guarantee versus now what has been the Gehlot guarantee. On the other hand, a strong pitch for polarization. The Prime Minister today invoked the beheading of Kanhaiya Lal. We're going to get in more. Will this narrative work in the state of Rajasthan? Let's take it to our panelists. Salman Soz joins us from the Congress. Sanju Verma, Bharatiya Janata Party national spokesperson. Avinash Kala, senior journalist. Avinash Kala, for somebody who knows Rajasthan as the back of your hand, what did you make of what the Prime Minister said today? I would reckon if I was going through his speech, other than, of course, raising law and order, making it clear there is no CM face, it's going to be the Lotus, which will be the chief ministerial face for the Bharatiya Janata Party, is what the Prime Minister said. But Mr. Kala, the biggest would be that we can expect this election to be very high on polarization. You had the Prime Minister invoke the beheading of Kanhaiya Lal. It comes in the wake of Mr. Biduri being given the poll in chargeship of a region like Tonk, a seat like Tonk, which is already seeing massive communal polarization. With what you had mentioned earlier in my show as well, 3 days ago, a Muslim boy is beaten by a mob and not a word from any BJP leader.
Right. As you rightly pointed out, polarization is going to be their main force. And this is another experiment that they are doing. You know, as you rightly mentioned out, since 1998, elections after that, for 25 years, every Indian election, there is a chief ministerial face. This time, BJP's party line is not to keep any face. And secondly, Rajasthan is not a state which is very polarizing. You know, we are divided by caste, but by no distance or stretch of imagination, we are a communal state. We are not a communal state. But this time, BJP is upping the ante on that side. Last time also, if you look at elections, earlier in Vasundhara Raje's government, you would, whenever Vasundhara Ji was the face, you would have 8 to 10 Muslim MLAs contesting from the BJP. The BJP would get some minority votes and Muslim MLAs would be made sizable minister. Last time, they could only field one Vasundhara loyalist as a candidate against Sachin Pilot. And I believe he was the last candidate to be announced, Yunus Khan. So that was clearly agenda. And this time also, looking at the way they have worked in 4.5 years, you don't see any Muslim or a minority candidate getting any seat from the BJP. Rightly mentioned, for last 3 days, Jaipur is blocked. The streets are red, but not a word from a party which says law and order is an issue that they have. So they're very selective about their law and order and everything. So polarization, yes, is going to be one of their strong pull. And you rightly pointed out Viduri's appointment. It's not that he will make an impact on Tonk, but that area has got Muslim MLAs standing in from the Congress party, and he generates a sentiment that would polarize votes, and BJP hopes that in that area they last time could not win a single seat. They only got 1 seat out of 45. So polarization is going to be a mainstay for the BJP, and let's see how it pans out.
Well, interesting. Law and order was something which was also picked up where the Prime Minister took on the Gehlot government, where he went on to give instances of the sheer fact that this year it has been Rajasthan which is number 1 where it comes again, where crime against women, the NCRB data is concerned, followed by Madhya Pradesh at number 2. Last year it was Madhya Pradesh at number 1. But having said that, also Sanju Verma, I'll bring you in because you're shaking your head, with every point that was being raised by Mr. Kala. But, madam, for a minute, step back and look into it. What else would explain in stating Mr. Biduri, who used the filthiest of language in the parliament, and give him a charge of an area which is basically a communal tinderbox in the last couple of months. Every communal incident that has happened in Rajasthan, or at least a sizable amount of them, have taken place in this particular belt. To make him in charge of that area where it's a huge Muslim population, where Tonk is concerned. In 2018, you would have tried it with a Muslim candidate. This time, it seems you're going the other way, where at least Tonk is concerned. So, one question there. Number 2, to invoke Kanhaiya Lal's beheading, saying that you are voting for a government which will, do you want incidents like this? Number 3, there's been an incident where a Muslim boy was beaten up by a mob, and not a word from any BJP local leader in Rajasthan.
Okay. Preeti, good to be on your show after quite a bit. I also want to tell you that, regarding that horrifying story of 24 people dead, including 12 infants, I'm sure, the Chief Minister, Mr. Shinde, and Tanaji Sawant, the Health Minister, will look into your story, and a due probe should be conducted so that the guilty are punished. Coming to your specific query, let me now just say this. And, I'm not going to be beating around the bush. I'm appalled. And this has nothing to do with Mr. Kala's statement or, people who want to put BJP in the dockyard and guillotine Ramesh Biduri for making the statements that he did. I said it on one of, the earlier shows on India Today with your colleague Rahul Kaval. I don't believe in stereotyping a certain community, be it Muslims, Parsis, Sikhs, what have you, even Hindus for that matter. I think that's the least we can do in the 21st century. We are all educated individuals, at least most of us are. So saying that, ki tum katwe ho, mulle ho.
Can you not use this, madam? Yes. Avoid that, please.
Okay.
Avoid that.
Okay. So that language
strangely, for some MPs, it might, work, or it's the language they can use in the parliament. But, ma'am, definitely, I would not allow it in my studio.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. So that language is despicable, to say the least. But I cannot fathom why is it that when the Lok Sabha Speaker has said categorically that a probe is being conducted and let us find out, doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani hoga. And since Preeti has admonished me that let us not use this kind of language, so let me also remind, Mr. Kalla and many like him who are ready to point a finger at the BJP that is it true that Danish Ali said कि प्रधानमंत्री जो NEECH है उसको वो नहीं बुलाएंगे तो उसको और क्या बुलाएंगे? And let me tell you one more thing. There is such a hue and cry on the fact that a person from the Muslim community was marginalized, beaten up. I also want to draw the attention of people to the recent happening in Sambhal, where 2 teachers and a school principal asked Hindu students to be beaten up by their Muslim classmates. And ये जो secularism के सूरमा बने बैठे हैं ना, secularism की दुहाई देते हैं, इन सूरमाओं में से किसी एक secularism के सूरमा ने संभाल के इंसिडेंट की condemnation नहीं की. Point number 1. Point number 2. When you raise a finger at Mr. Biduri, I want to ask, how many people ever forget admonishing, even dared? I'm not talking of Preeti, you as a journalist, but I've seen so many journalists through the last couple of years. I've never seen anyone ask pointed questions to Kamal Nath about the fact that 1984 anti-Sikh riots, Kamal Nath did not cover himself in glory. One has to read the Nanavati Commission report to know the gory details. People were saying, "Arey, bahut badhiya hua," when he became the chief minister of Madhya Pradesh before he was ousted. How many people said to Priyank Khadge, the son of Mallikarjun Khadge, who happens to be the Congress president, when he said, Hinduism के बारे में, सनातन धर्म के बारे में, यदि Udaynidhi Stalin has compared it to dengue, malaria, it is a disease. If he's called it a disease, what's the big deal? Did Mr. Kalla or his likes fret and fume that time? No, it was supposed to be par for the course. So please don't sit here and give a bhashan. ये secularism पर हमको आपसे certificate की जरूरत नहीं है.
Okay, ma'am. Listen.
One last
Yes,
point.
make your
Preeti,
point.
please. One last point. I'm sorry. You started off with a very, I won't use the word provocative. You asked the right question. But this is, a feisty debate. It's going to be one for the simple reason that I cannot tolerate the hypocrisy when there is a law and a problem in Haryana. Who is, questioned? It is Manohar Lal Khattar. When there is a law and order problem in Assam, you question Himanta Biswa Sarma. When there is a law and order problem in Uttar Pradesh, you are baying for Yogi Adityanath's blood. But when there is a law and order problem in Rajasthan, what do? You try to whitewash it by saying, हुआ तो हुआ, कौन सी बड़ी बात है? अशोक गहलोत जिम्मेदार नहीं है, राहुल गांधी जिम्मेदार नहीं है, प्रियंका वड्रा हुरान स्पीचिंग लड़की हूँ, लड़ सकती हूँ, तो हाथरस, but did not have the time to meet the Alwar gang rape victim and was busy holidaying at Ranthambore when that gang rape in Alwar happened. When somebody asked her, she said, हुआ तो हुआ.
Madam, you made your points.
The gang rapes in Rajasthan.
Okay. Ma'am, you've made your points. I'm going to bring in Salman Soz, but I'm glad you said that this is going to be a feisty debate shown of hypocrisy. But having said that, I'm going to just point out to a couple of things. Where you mentioned the Sambhal incident, ma'am, you're bang on where you say what happened was terrible. Shaista was the teacher in Sambhal who made a Muslim boy slap what could clearly be seen as a reprisal punishment, a Hindu boy. But where we talk about hypocrisy, ma'am, Shaista was immediately arrested. She's behind bars as you and I speak. But an incident which has happened a month and a half ago of Tripta Tyagi, who made a Muslim boy being slapped by a Hindu student. Ma'am, please hear me out. Ma'am, please hear me out. Ma'am, 1 second. Ma'am, if you would allow, can I just, ma'am, please allow me. The parents refused to file a complaint. Do not tell me a suo motu FIR could not be lodged by the police. Very well, it can be something which was said very clearly by the Supreme Court to the government of Uttar Pradesh. Ma'am, the hearing is still on. There is a petition on. So that could have happened. Madam, it's not Madam, a suo motu complaint could have been lodged by the police. It's something which was said by the top court of this country. Top court of this country has said it, ma'am. Number two. Number two. You and me to decide. Ma'am, the top court of the country has said it. You and I are not in question.
But that is in certain cases.
Number two. You talk about the word which is NEECH, which was used by Danish, allegedly used by Danish Ali, the BSP MP against the Prime Minister, to what Mr. Biduri could not stand. But having said that, the same word NEECH was used by Manishankar Iyer against the Prime Minister, and rightly so. The Congress at that point of time had suspended him. Has Ramesh Biduri been suspended by the BJP? No. The only point I would reckon, senior journalist Mr. Kala.
Has Priyanka Khadge been suspended, Preeti?
Madam,
Preeti, I am a bit upset now. Please allow me. You made many allegations, Preeti. Preeti, I love coming on your debates, but I have to say this. And I can see you're also getting a bit agitated, which is so untypical of you. If there is indeed a word.
Ma'am, I'm not being agitated. Facts are facts. Okay, make your point, then I'll open out the debate. You make your point.
Preeti,
make your point.
You told all through this debate. What did you say? And I have a great memory just like you have. Please play out your bites till now. We are how many minutes into your program? 22 minutes. You said Ramesh Biduri said. You did not say Ramesh Biduri allegedly said. Whereas you said that Danish Ali allegedly
Madam, because he said we heard him. Because we heard him. We did not hear Danish Ali, so alleged for Danish Ali. Ma'am, come on. You heard him. Okay, ma'am, after the show, I'll send you a video which is now, of course.
Preeti, can I please speak? At least on your show, I'm sure I have effort.
Madam, you have spoken ad nauseum for 6 minutes. Now, can I open the debate to the Congress panelists with your permission?
Have you condemned what Priyanka Kharge said? That also
Ma'am, of course, we did multiple shows on what? Let me say it. Okay, because you want to hear it. Madam, because you want to hear it, let me say it. You're not letting me say it. Because you want to hear it, let me say it, that the language that the junior Stalin used was borderline fascist. Are you, now, somewhere down the line, is it okay? Borderline fascist, if not fascist.
Right? Fascist, not borderline fascist, but fascist.
Okay, one second. Madam, now let me open out the debate. Please allow me to do that. Can I just get in the Congress spokesperson, Salman Soz? Salman Soz, let's move in. Okay, because it's not about Ramesh Biduri. That's a topic of a different debate, some other point of time. But the fact is, this election, one of the issues, and that was rightly pointed out by senior journalist Mr. Kala, will be a polarizing election when we see it. But having said that, there were other issues that the Prime Minister also raised. That, number one, was the topic of infighting. Where you come down to it, suddenly now you see once again your own party unit in Rajasthan sniping at each other. And what possibly the Rajasthan Congress unit would have hoped was that the infighting in Rajasthan, because the lack of a chief ministerial face being announced, Vasundhara Raje might turning rogue. That's not happening. They are moving in a cohesive unit.
So, Preeti, let me just address these issues. The Prime Minister raised some important issues. I think we should really be talking about them. As far as the Hindu-Muslim of BJP, I will not talk about that. Let them talk about it. We will talk about the issues that matter. The Prime Minister raised a few issues, and I beg your indulgence because you gave the BJP spokesperson a lot of time. The Prime Minister talked about paper leaks, for example. And, paper leaks, wherever they happen, they're very unfortunate. It's sad that these things happen. But, how can the Prime Minister say that he's going to fix things in Rajasthan when in Madhya Pradesh, in early 2023, this year, 12 out of 15 statewide exams, they got leaked. So why did the Prime Minister not do anything in Madhya Pradesh, for example? He talks about crime rate. Of course, crime rate is bad, and of course, Rajasthan must improve. And actually, Rajasthan in 2022 improved 5% compared to 2019. But how can the Prime Minister talk about crime in Rajasthan when the crime rates in states like Haryana are far more?
No, not far more. Mr. Soz, I'll give you the time to speak, but let me interject you. Not far more. Number one is the state of Rajasthan. When you look at NCRB data, crime against women. Number one state, sir.
Let me, Preeti, please.
Go ahead.
I did not say crime against women per se. And of course, crime against women is horrible. I was talking about overall crime rates. Overall crime rates in Rajasthan are far lower than in Haryana and Uttar Pradesh.
You're shifting goalposts, sir.
And by the way, Madhya Pradesh, that's data. And the Prime Minister should not be talking about crimes against women because he did not even speak once when that unfortunate video of Manipuri women came out. Did not even speak once. He was forced. We had to literally beg him to speak. So he has no standing when it comes to trying to improve the situation of women in this country. When he talks about employment, or unemployment for that matter, of course, Rajasthan, like many other states in the country, are suffering. But how can you talk about unemployment when in Haryana, the unemployment rate is the highest in the country? But I do remember that the Prime Minister makes wonderful promises. And who can forget? If you remember 2014, he said, I will do in 60 months what others could not do in 60 years. And let me tell you what he's done in 60 years. Of course, Modi hai to mumkin hai. Unemployment rate during his time as Prime Minister reached a 5-decade high. Household savings in this country dropped to a 50-year low. In 2017, credit growth slowed to a 55-year low. Of course, he did in 60 months what nobody else could do in 60 years. He promised to double farmers' income. Has it happened? He promised 2 crore jobs a year. And today, I think he again promised something like 16 crore jobs, and now 16 crore jobs are going to get created. He talked about, I don't want to talk about 15 lakh rupees. I don't want to talk about manufacturing will be 25% of GDP. I don't want to talk about the black money being brought back from Swiss banks into India. Meanwhile, people with black money have started running out of the country. Mehul Bhai Choksi or Lalit Bhai Modi. Meanwhile, some cronies are running the country with Mr. Modi. So it's all very well to make promises. But the question is, what are you delivering?
Okay, delivering on promises, but the fact is...
Please let me finish.
Okay,
Does the Prime Minister have any credibility in terms of delivering on his promises? The NDA is a nothing-doing alliance. Nothing doing alliance, no delivery alliance. And I think people are recognizing it. And that is why you see opinion poll after opinion poll now saying that the BJP is likely to lose all 5 states that are going to elections.
We don't, we'll only know that when that last vote is counted on what that comes down to. Ma'am, let me go back to Mr. Kala. You've already given him a earful in the beginning. I want to go right back. He's a senior journalist and maybe, Mr. Kala, we spoke about, yes, polarization will be a poll pitch, and we can see it. The writings on the wall on that account. Moving on from there, Modi guarantee card versus the Gehlot guarantee card. Modi is still extremely popular, where as a leader, Rajasthan is concerned, and possibly putting him on the ticket will work a lot better than even putting the likes of Vasundhara Raje on the ticket. As a unit, Mr. Kala, it does seem that the BJP, at least of the last few days, is rolling around better than, say, a Congress.
Indeed, Preeti, and before I answer, I would like to just respond to the BJP panelist. She made a lot of hue and cry about incidents, but didn't speak a word pertaining to Rajasthan. That is what we call a classical beat around the bush kind of thing. But coming back to your question, at the moment, it's a thing that we are going to see how people vote on that account. The Prime Minister today has said a Modi guarantee card. How popular he is remains to be seen. And I think BJP is taking a gamble with a pendulum state like Rajasthan by putting the Prime Minister's face out, because always it is being said that he's very effective in the Lok Sabha elections, but when it comes to the state elections, he's not that effective. And with Rajasthan showing a pattern that, we are a pendulum state, he is taking his chances. At the moment, the BJP is looking like getting its act together. They are looking and they're posturing as though they are coming together. How much of that unity will be for real? We'll all see once the candidates are announced as to which Kshatrap. They have developed 5-6 different leaders now, all have their followers and aspirants. How does that come together? How will the BJP handle the seat distribution would be the crux. It will be the crux for the Congress as well, because... But
compared to the Congress, Mr. Kala, how do you see the BJP faring better right now or the Congress?
In the last few days, as I previously also said, the BJP is now looking to get their act together. They are looking far more energized and there is a buzz around them. Whereas for the Congress, everybody is saying the contrary thing, that the moment you have an election code of conduct out, when the power of chief minister is not what it remains in a regular day, then you will see the Kshatraps playing out on their own. How many seats, who will be given, would be remaining? Will the chief minister get an upper hand or not? In the BJP, at least, there is a clarity that most of the things are decided top down. There is no such clarity at the moment in the Congress party going forward.
All right. Okay. So, Sanju Verma, you have something to smile about. Maybe say thank you to Mr. Kala, who's clearly putting the BJP ahead right now, at least in the last, what has gone down in the last few days.
Okay. Preeti, I have nothing personal against anyone, not against Mr. Kala either. I just want to make a couple of points. I was told that this debate is on Modi guarantee versus Congress guarantee. And since Salman Soz of the Congress, gave a litany, a long list of Modi ne ye nahi kiya, wo nahi kiya, we've not got this, we've not got that, 15 lakh nahi mile, aisa ho gaya, waisa ho gaya. I just want to say a couple of things. It was in 1985 that Indira Gandhi introduced, the Indira Gandhi Awas Yojana was introduced by the Congress, 1 year after her death. It was in 1985 that you introduced the crop insurance scheme, when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister. And it was in 2009 again when you introduced in the memory of Rajiv Gandhi the Rajiv Awas Yojana. And beat Indira Awas Yojana of 1985, Rajiv Awas Yojana of 2009, beat the ICDS scheme of 1975, you did nothing. Today, under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, 4 crore houses have been built. You started the direct benefit transfer when in 2013 you did not transfer a single penny to the pockets of the poor. Whereas in just last 9.5 years, we've transferred 28 lakh crore, which is more than 12.5% of India's GDP. Then let me tell you one more thing. In 2010, to help the senior citizens, you started the Swavlamban Yojana. You did nothing. Till you were booted out in 2014, we started the Atal Pension Yojana, which has already benefited close to 3 crore senior citizens. Let me give you another example. You started the Jan Aushadhi Kendras in 2008. And when we came to power in 2014, there were only 31 Jan Aushadhi Kendras.
Right.
Today, there are more than 9,300 Jan Aushadhi Kendras. Last but not the least, Preeti, P. Chidambaram made fun of Digital India, which was started in 2015. You started Digital India under the National E-Governance Plan way back in 2005-06, and you did nothing. Today, 15 lakh crore worth of UPI trades are done every single month, which is more than 6.5% of India's GDP. And last but not the least, you started the crop insurance scheme way back in 1985 and did nothing for farmers. Today,
Salman
under the aegis of Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, more than 29
Salman
crore
if you question
get benefits.
the deliverability of the BJP, then it might be a little rich, because even if you look at the Gehlot guarantee card, most of these guarantees have come up to the last 4 months of Rajasthan going to vote.
No, Preeti, I disagree. I mean, if you think about, there are not just the Rajasthan government, whether it's the Rajasthan government, whether it's the Karnataka government, whether Himachal Pradesh or Chhattisgarh, we have a story of delivery because, let's face it, the Congress party is fighting, in some ways with the backstop to the wall. So we cannot afford to not be accountable. Unlike the Prime Minister and his party, they become very arrogant. They feel that they can win any election, and of course, they keep losing elections now. But the fact of the matter is that we are delivering. When Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot promised 500 rupees for a gas cylinder, he didn't do it in the last 4 months. He announced it in December 2022, well before the election had to happen. The Prime Minister can now come and say, Modi guarantee dega, but we know what the Prime Minister Modi's record. It is a record of failure. Think about Karnataka. We promised that women would travel free. We have passed that scheme. We promised that women would get financial support. We passed that scheme.
But Mrs. Soos, I'm coming at the end of this debate.
One more thing. In Himachal Pradesh, when we revived the old pension scheme, in some ways that has resonated across the country. Why? Just yesterday, you had lakhs upon lakhs of people in Delhi agitating for the old pension scheme because they get it. They understand that they need help, and that is what the Congress party is going to do.
All right, I've reached the end of this debate. Appreciate you all for joining us, but very quickly, Mr. Soos, the reason that Mr. Gehlot gave out the guarantee in terms of the cylinder was not so much that he gave it in December 2020. There was something entirely different going on where the internal dynamics of the Congress with Mr. Pilot were concerned at that point of time. But having said that, we're going to keep a keen eye on all developments there. Let's quickly shift focus to our other big story today. The Bihar government gave out the data for its caste census, and the devil lies in the detail, which could very well go ahead and give a full fillip where it comes down to the India campaign, at least getting it started. Let's cut across right now immediately to our guest this evening. Joining me, Sandeep Shastri, National Coordinator, Lokniti Network, Amitabh Tiwari, Political Analyst, Yogendra Yadav, Co-Founder, Swaraj India. Yogendra Yadav, to begin with you, what would you reckon would be the political implications of the data that we see on our television screen, which was, of course, given out by the caste census conducted by the Bihar government?
I don't think we should rush into assessing the political implications. First of all, we should recognize that the data released by Bihar government today has vindicated the demand for caste census. What has the data done? This data has demonstrated it has demonstrated that the population estimates that we were dealing with in the past have turned out to be quite erroneous. The data published by Bihar government today shows that the OBCs are substantially more than what anyone thought. They are put together 63% of Bihar. The data also shows that the upper caste have been very seriously overestimated in the past, especially the Brahmins. All the upper castes put together are only 11.6% of Bihar. So the claim of those who said we need a caste census because we don't know the reality have been vindicated. I'm waiting for the second installment of the data, which would tell us, because I've been saying the most important thing about caste census is not just the population estimates. The most important caste census is that it gives us a sense of the educational, social, and economic profile. I'm waiting for that. Let's not rush into assessing the political implications for the time.
But Mr. Yadav, you know, that is something which the BJP also says, that this data is completely incomplete because it hasn't, or the government right now hasn't released the socio-economic weaker sections.
Yeah, that's not called incomplete data.
Mr. Yadav, we're having a problem with your audio link. Can we correct? We're going to correct your audio link. Let me go to another guest. We're going to try and get back to Mr. Yogendra Yadav on that. But Sandeep Shastri, you know, Yogendra Yadav, and understandably, you know, of the opinion where he says it's too early right now to get into what the political implications would be. But do you see a spillover effect of all of this right now in terms of other states also demanding a caste census?
While I respect the point which Yogenji made about it being too early to look at the political implications of the data released today by the Bihar government, but I think the potential of what has happened today to change the political narrative as we lead on to next year's Lok Sabha elections, for me at least, is clearly visible. Because we are seeing two alternative narratives of social justice emerging. One narrative which the government is putting forward, a narrative which talks about development, gender, and all castes and communities coming together. And you have now this alternative narrative where you talk of development, you talk of gender, but then you bring it in also with the lens of caste. Now, this reality in India is something which the opposition seems to have latched on to. Yes, there are variations across states. Yes, there will be differences among the alliance partners on how to view it. But I think this latest development has the potential to redefine the contours of the debate in the coming elections.
But okay, if we have Yogendra Yadav back with us, okay, we're going to try and get Yogendra Yadav into this conversation, but Amitabh Tiwari, the government could come up and then maybe as a counter, of course, because there is, you know, it's a political minefield of sorts where the BJP comes into question. But they could release the Rohini Commission data as a counter. Do you see that a possibility?
That possibility is there if this caste census demand grows further, stronger. As Yogendra Yadav ji said, we have to wait for the next move of Nitish. So the number is 84%, correct? OBC plus SC plus ST. What next? So should we, or should they be demanding now a higher reservation for OBCs, SCs, STs, which is currently capped at 50% to 84%, or some other number nationally? See, data is not very different from what the data was earlier. Earlier estimates also had the upper caste or the general category at 15-16%. That is the number here. What you have to understand is that the minorities 17% and the other minorities, so Muslims and other minorities, which is 18-19%, have been classified, or they have classified themselves largely as BCs or EBCs, correct? That's why the OBC number, which was earlier estimated to be 50%, is showing as 63, and the SC number, which was in 2011 census 16%, is now being shown as 18-19%. Correct. So this jiski jitni sankhya bhari, uski utni hissedari has some inherent issues in the slogan itself. It means that possibly the opposition could be asking a religion-based reservation, which is not allowed in the Constitution, number one. Number two, if the reservation is asked to be increased from, let's say, 27 to 84 or 50 to 84, will they be asking for an increase in reservation for the general category from 10% to 16%? So this is a Pandora's box.
Okay.
This is a Pandora's box. That's why the BJP has not been acceptable to this idea of caste census. It is a Pandora's box.
Okay, Yogendra Yadav, let me just once again try to get Mr. Yadav back into this conversation. He's some sketchy network. But Mr. Yadav, what do you make? The possibility of the government, if there is an increase in demand of caste census in other states, releasing data of Rohini Commission, and also the possibility of it, because there is already a cap where it comes down to 50% reservation when it goes down to caste by the top court of the country.
It's something that never ceases to amaze me. That the moment we say caste census, everyone wants to discuss the next step. So you want to go for an X-ray, you want to go to the hospital, and someone says, in case you have an X-ray, it may lead to the following, it may lead to that. We normally don't say that about X-rays and MRIs, do we? Why do I detect a sense of anxiety? And I think the reasons probably are clear today. In Bihar, the Brahmins are much less than anyone estimated. I have some sense of the data. I know what was estimated. And it so happens that Brahmins have turned out to be much less. No one expected upper caste to be only 11.6%. They were expected to be around 16 to 17%. So something has, and that I suspect is where the source of the trouble lies. There is a deep anxiety. Let's face it. Let's honestly face it. Let's confront what Dr. Ambedkar said. In this country, there is a deep-seated upper caste dominance, upper caste hegemony. And one of the ways of ensuring upper caste hegemony is never to allow information, true information, to come in the public domain. I suspect that is at work. Rohini Commission data, yes, it should be released. What's the problem? Of course it ought to be released. Let all the data come out. Let this country know what is I don't want only the number of caste and communities. I also want to know, now that we know that Brahmins, Bhumihars, and Kayastha and Rajput put together are 11.6% of Bihar. Would it not be interesting, Preeti, for you to find out how many IAS officers are from these four communities? Would it not be interesting how many media persons, I'm saying it carefully, how many media persons of Bihar that you meet come from these four communities? How many judges, how many teachers? We should know this. And I suspect the whole problem is we don't want to confront this data. Hence this thing of what it would lead to, what are the next steps, what would it lead to? Arey Baba, if you discover that someone is 60% and that person says, now that I'm 60%, give me more, why are we scared?
All right, okay, Sandeep Shastri, Pandora's box, yes, with what Mr. Tiwari says, but also politically explosive, because if you look at that, on just the basis of this data, if you have 15%, which is the general category, and you look at what was announced last, of course, not on caste, but on the basis of EWS, which is 10%, you apply to that 15%, we're looking at upwards of a 65% reservation for the upper caste, or the general category.
Preeti, the whole contours of the debate would change. I think we would need to go back to the Supreme Court to look at the whole question of what is the cap on reservation. Is the reservation we are going to give be commensurate with the exact numbers that a particular caste has? I think all these issues open up, and the economic basis of reservation, which you refer to as the 10%, I think would be over and above any other reservation you talk about. So if the new caste census talks about the backwards being at a particular number, what are its implications for the reservation policy in the light of the stand the Supreme Court has taken on this issue would be what we would need to look at as we go forward.
All right. Okay. Mr. Yadav wants to make a comment. Go ahead, Mr. Yadav. Then I'll cut across to Mr. Tiwari for a final word.
I think Professor Shastri is absolutely right. This would change the contours of debate. And that is why I suspect there is so much of anxiety about it. The simple fact is neither the OBC reservation nor the EWS reservation was based on numbers. CST reservation is a proportion of population share. EWS and OBC were never linked to that. This is it. We all know it. But for heaven's sake, I think Bihar data has already made a point that we need all in a caste census. If you needed an evidence for that, Bihar has already provided it. I really hope in this country we shall not debate medication before we have MRI or X-ray. Let's have an X-ray, let's have a test, then let us debate medication.
All right.
Let us not first medication and then decide whether to have a test or not.
Mr. Tiwari, okay, for the BJP, the reasons that you gave, that it's that the entire exercise is also opening up a Pandora's box, but it's also very politically uncomfortable for the Bharatiya Janata Party, isn't it, sir? Sir, you're on mute.
It's not exactly uncomfortable for the BJP, correct? Because BJP claims to have given having given the highest representation to OBCs in the cabinet, which is around 35% ministers. And this has not been challenged by the opposition, so I assume it is true. The second fact is that in the Bihar cabinet itself, see, charity begins at home. If you analyze the cabinet ministry of Bihar, there are 7 Yadavs, which is much higher than the population or the proportionate population would allow. So what I'm trying to say is that there will be a big political, you can say, earthquake if this is likely to be implemented. And the next move is very important, because whenever you go for medication, the doctor does advise that you need to take an X-ray, but he also gives you various options that if this happens, this is what would happen. If this happens, this is what would happen. Politics is the art of managing the contradictions. The BJP has fairly managed it well because it has been getting today the votes or the support across caste groups, OBCs, upper caste, SC, everybody. Now the opposition's attempt is to make a dent in this OBC vote. Will it succeed? Will it not? Only time will tell. But politics has also moved beyond caste. There is a class element today. BJP has given a class tadka to caste-based politics. So, what is the identity of the voter? First, is he a OBC or a upper caste or a SC or a ST? Or is he a rich or a middle or a poor or a lower class? So that is the key motivating factor when a person goes to the booth and votes.
Right, Mr. Yadav, there's a point in that, because right, there is a point in that, Mr. Yadav, because let's even look at Nitish Kumar, who's brought it in. He was elevated to the post of Chief Minister, not possibly as a Kurmi, but as Sushasan Babu. But coming back, Mr. Yadav, to the core point, are we now looking at going down the ways of a Maharashtra or a Tamil Nadu, where the battles will keep getting fought in court and we are going to be indiscriminate about reservation?
Preeti, why do we call going down? I think there might be a language bias that you may wish to correct, because we go down on a very bad path. Giving people who are 80% of population 69% seats, not 80, I'm sorry, 90% people, giving them 69% may not look going down at least to 69% people. So you may wish to think about all these things. I think, Preeti, for sensitive people like you, it's very important to understand the reality of caste. Indian media, for the first time, has begun to confront the truth of caste. Let us be open about it. To me, it doesn't matter whether it favors Mr. Nitish Kumar or it favors the BJP, whoever benefits. If BJP benefits, all right, they should benefit. What's the problem with that?
Right.
What is important is the country should know. I, as a citizen of India, want to know, first of all, before we do any policy, I want to know what is the proportion of different castes and communities in the population, and what is their share in every powerful position of this country. Is that a crime to ask for it? Why do some people get very anxious? This is Pandora's box. It would happen. Only the very privileged people say that. In South Africa, the white Africans use this language. Oh, this would open Pandora's box. Please don't behave like one.
But, Mr. Yadav, I'm coming to the close of this debate, but you said that, sensitive people like I'm a privileged OBC and I don't want reservation. I could, I can say that. A lot of the other OBC...
So am I.
Right.
So am I.
We come from acute privilege. And in the utopian world, sir,
But that does not mean that you and I do not discuss the country.
No, that's the reason for this debate, Mr. Yadav.
Do need it. There are crores of people who need it. So I'm also a privileged OBC. I have never benefited from OBC, and my children and no one in my family is entitled to it, which is perfectly all right.
So therefore,
but that does not mean that crores of OBCs should not get their due.
Well, you know, the fact is a lot of people who are going to be sitting there, especially the young who want to run this country on merit, it's an utopian concept, we understand, could fall back on the likes of you and I who come from privilege, yet come from the OBC, misusing that reservation, which many of our other Indians who have reservation do with what is called the creamy layer. But yes, it's open for discussion and we must discuss it because it's essential in terms of representation. Thank you, all our panelists, for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. And Gandhi Jayanti today, let's give a moment to remember the Mahatma. Up next is Gaurav Sawant.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant. Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant. Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant. Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant. Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company. You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Powered by Volkswagen. Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com. हर फैमिली होगी इंश्योर्ड.
Engineer turned terrorist Shahnawaz unmasked.
मोहम्मद शाहनवाज जो है ये विश्वेश्वरैया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी से माइनिंग इंजीनियर है. काफी प्रेस्टिजियस इंस्टीट्यूट है.
Sinister plot to engineer terror strikes in India.
कैसे मैक्सिमम कैजुअलिटी इंश्योर करनी है, वो सारी चीजें भी उसके रिलेटेड लिटरेचर जो था उसके ठिकाने से रिकवर किया गया है.
Pakistan ISI creates a smoke screen.
इस सारे का जो जेनेसिस है वो क्रॉस बॉर्डर में पाकिस्तान में है, जैसा कि हमने पहले भी बताया.
Pak terror smoke screen is our top focus on India First.
It's a sensational disclosure by the Delhi police on the engineers arrested for plotting major terror strikes in the upcoming festive season. Mohammad Shahnawaz was a mining